Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the partial differential equation series. So in the last video, we have calculated on the necessary partial derivative or partial gradient, if you want to say, in a different way. So as you can see, we have partial chi with respect to s, second partial derivative, same with f, and we have the first derivative. Okay, first partial derivative. Okay, so after we calculate all of this, we will substitute it back to our original equation, which is equation 1 right here. Okay, and so let's go ahead and get started. So, all right. Substitute into equation 1. Make sure that partial f over partial b, partial g over partial b, partial f over partial a, partial g over partial a, second partial of f with respect to a, second partial of f with respect to b, second partial of g with respect to a, second partial of g with respect to b. Okay, so you make sure all these terms appear. Okay, so we're gonna do two waves of substitution. So you see what I'm saying? So first wave of substitution. So from equation 1, let's go ahead and rewrite equation 1 first, okay? And so from equation 1, you have what? You have, this is the original equation, partial of v with respect to t plus 1/2 s squared times partial square of v with respect to s, second partial, times s times first partial of v with respect to s minus v equals 0. Okay, this is your original equation, the Black-Scholes equations. All right, so let's go ahead and substitute that. Partial v over partial t, partial v over partial s, partial square v over partial s squared. We already have all that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. If you go up, you can replace partial v over partial t with this, partial f partial t times g plus partial g partial t times f times 1/2 of s squared. You write the same. Partial square, we already have that, so it's just g times partial square f partial s squared plus 2 times partial f over partial s times partial g over partial s, and then plus f times partial square g over partial s squared. Okay, and also you have s times partial f over partial s times g plus partial g over partial s times f minus f times g equal 0. Okay, so that is basically, I just replace these three terms. So these four terms, let me highlight for you this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, so 4 of these I replace here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. Now I will do some rearrangement. The first thing I can do is divide by g. So divide both sides by g. So you arrive at partial f with respect to time plus partial g with respect to time times f over g plus 1/2 s squared times partial square of f with respect to s squared plus s squared over g times partial f times over partial s times partial g over partial s plus f times s squared over 2g times partial square of g over partial s squared plus s times partial f over partial s plus s times f over g times partial g with respect to s minus f equal 0. Okay, so this is what you got if you divide both sides by g. Now after doing all this, I'm gonna do the second wave of substitution. So you see now we have FGS up here, right? So we have, notice FGST has appeared. Now we will make A and B appear. Okay, so how do you do that? You're gonna do your second wave of substitution. Second wave of substitution. So how are you gonna do that? Now you go back to on the calculation you just did on the partial f with respect to t and s, but now it's just in terms of a and b. Okay, we already did it in the previous video. So let's go ahead and substitute them in. So if you plug in the equation, you get if you plug in the above equation, you get partial f with respect to b times db over dt plus partial g with respect to b times db over dt times f over g, okay, plus partial square of f with respect to a times dA over ds square times s square over 2. And notice this term right here, you have to be careful. This term right here is the derivative, and then you square, not the second derivative. So not second derivative. This is derivative square, okay? It's not the second derivative, okay? Just want to make sure everyone is not confusing that term, okay? And add partial f with respect to a times second derivative of a with respect to s times s squared over 2 plus partial f with respect to a times partial g with respect to a times derivative square times s squared over g. Okay, so it's kind of long. Plus, where were we? Okay, partial square of g over partial square of a dA over ds square times f times s square over 2g, then plus partial g over partial a times second derivative a with respect to s times s squared times f over 2g plus partial f with respect to a times dA over ds times s plus partial g over partial a times dA over ds times s times f over g minus f equal 0. Okay, guys, I might apologize, but this equation is kind of long. Let's pause a little bit, okay? So let's go ahead and get some water and drink some water, you know, maybe go to the restroom, wash your face, and be back, okay? Because we just substituting quite a bit. Okay, so let's take a breath. Breathing in, breathing out, okay? So whenever you just do some problem, never forget to pause a bit and, you know, reflect on what you have done, and, you know, be calm your body down after like a long work, long mathematical derivation. Okay, all right, so after you back, we can continue, but this is very interesting. So after you see all these substitution, right? So the next step is you're gonna group them into appropriate coefficient, okay? Because there's some coefficient we want to stay, and there's some coefficient we want to disappear. Okay, and I think that should be for the next video. Thank you everyone for your attention, and I'll see you in the next video.